overzealous, the two best Australian teams going head-to-head right here today.
Luke, it's going to be massive. The Swifts created history last week. They got through the home and away season undefeated. Believe me, they won't take it backward steps. I do like the Thunderbirds, though. They're so aggressive in their back line. They've got that Jamaican flair in their front line. They're up for a great match. It should be a cracker.
It's the major semi-final. The New South Wales Swifts at home to the Adelaide Thunderbirds, coming to you right now on One.
The people. That extra inch of inspiration is on the line. It can be the difference between winning and losing. These are the moments that define character. Can the Swifts keep their fairy tale comeback rolling on? Or will the Thunderbirds continue to walk along the road to redemption and deliver the first killer blow? The 2010 ANZ Championship Finals have arrived. Who will stand tall when it matters the most? It's the Swifts and the Thunderbirds. It does not get any better than this.
Major semi-final, the winner gets to host the grand final. Couldn't be bigger stakes today. Look at the crowds flowing in here to Acer Arena. A beautiful Sunday afternoon in Sydney, and the support for netball right around Australia has been enormous, and as you'd expect, a big crowd here. Liz Ellis, they've seen their side go through undefeated. It's a history-making event. Can they do it again today?
They can, but I don't think they're going to get it all their own way. Earlier this year, we saw the Swifts get up by 16 points over the Thunderbirds, but the Thunderbirds were coming back from the bye where they had some trouble. A couple of players went to Bali for a holiday. This time round, the Thunderbirds have regrouped. Forget about last week's match against the Magic. They are fired up, as are the Swifts. Should be a brilliant match.
Well, a big part of their record-breaking year so far has been the girl who joins us now, Rebecca Bully. Thanks for coming out of the warm-up, Beck, and well done, the Australian Player of the Year. You've just won the Holden Cruise. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, Luke. It's a bit unbelievable. I was pretty excited, actually, but now it's down to business. It's the semi-final today. So
well, we might just take a look at you being very excited, because here you were, big smiles. You've taken home this magnificent car, the Holden Cruise. Little practice drive there, and you've gone straight to the crowd. There's Randy, the husband. Isn't he excited? I get the feeling he's got his eyes on the car.
Well, yeah, he's trying to convince me I need to trade it in for a boat, but it's got no chance.
I don't think Holden make boats, Beck, so you're going to have to keep that. Back to the game. Let's forget about the car for a second. Back to the game. Now, your direct opponent today is going to be Erin Bell. Does that surprise you?
It does a little bit. Usually they've gone with Kate Beveridge and Carla Borrego, but Erin's a former Swift, so I know what she likes to do, and she's a great player. She's got a lot of speed, but hopefully we can work together and combat that.
Well, Erin went to the Thunderbirds to get a little bit more court time. One young player who's had a heap of court time this year for the Swifts, but hasn't played finals before, is Courtney Tyree. What's it been like for her this week, and what have you guys been saying to her to get her ready?
Courtney's always pretty relaxed. She's pretty cool, calm, collected. She's a great player. She should be fine. She'll slot in really nicely.
So are you pretty relaxed as well, Beck? I can't believe that you were overlooked by the Vixens in their first side. I'm going to go back. I'm going to try and get something nasty out of you here. They didn't pick you. You've gone on. You've won a premiership. You've won a car, the Holden Cruise Player of the Year. You look back and go, I told you so.
Oh, look, I love Sydney. I think it's all worked out for the best, and hopefully another premiership might make it even sweeter.
Beautiful diplomatic answer. Good luck today, and thank you for joining us in the warm-up.
Thanks a lot.
Rebecca Bully is an absolute star. She's very humble, and I reckon there's a little bit of I told you so about it. She's had some help, though, Liz, in the defensive end, though. Sonia McClamer has been a great recruit for the New South Wales Swifts. There she is, and at the other end, Jiva Mentor, a star, a couple of England internationals.
And they're both playing so beautifully. I think they're two of the standout goalkeepers of this competition, which is great for this competition now. Not so good for Australia looking ahead to the Commonwealth Games. Both of those two will be lining up against the Diamonds at some stage there. They are playing beautifully, and they've got to get through today first.
Now, keep an eye on those two, McClamer and Mentor, two of the absolute stars. So is Cheryl McMahon. She's up next on our coverage. But as we go to the break, we'll take a look at the two goalkeepers, Mentor and also McClamer. We'll be back with all the action right here on One, right after this.
Well, it's major semi-final time here at Sydney Olympic Park. Nearly time for the first throw-off for the Swifts and the Thunderbirds. Now, one lady who, unfortunately, her team didn't make the finals. Well, unfortunately for her, fortunately for us, is Cheryl McMahon, and we get to welcome her to the coverage. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thanks, Liz. As you say, I'd rather be out there, but happy to be here with you too.
We're happy to have you here. Now, let's take a quick look at the Swifts lineup. So impressive all over the court, and really no surprises in their selections.
Yeah, no surprises, and why would there be with, an undefeated season behind them? And not only undefeated, but they are just working so well together. Kath Cox and Sue Prattley up the front. They're both in the top 10 of volume of goals scored, and when you've got two of your shooters working so well together, you certainly wouldn't be making many changes.
They're so strong in the defence line as well, but it's this mid-court that has everyone talking. Kim Smith was best on court last week for the Swifts in their round 14 match. Kim Green as well, playing so well. They are the engine room for this side, aren't they?
Definitely, and I think the way they've gone about things with their low turnover rate, they're just controlling things very, very well. Courtney Tyree's an interesting one in there for her first final series, so I'm sure she's a bit nervous and excited, but she's been doing so well, so she slots in nicely too.
She certainly has. Now, the Thunderbirds are a different kettle of fish. They have made some changes in their front line, and Cheryl, are you surprised at this?
I'm a little bit surprised just because they have been going with the combination of Carla Borrego and Kate Beveridge in their front line, but Erin Bell did slot in there on occasion throughout the season, so we see her into that goal attack position and Emily Beaton now into wing attack. Erin Bell just bringing a little bit more movement perhaps than a tall shooter like Kate Beveridge does.
She certainly does. Their defence line is so good. No surprise that you don't see anything there, but we can see Erin Bell and Emily Beaton there on camera, and both are, a little bit sort of inexperienced, but both will provide plenty of movement down that front line. Really important that they match up well with Carla Borrego, and it's interesting, Cheryl, you more than anyone else would know how important it is for both of these teams to have players like Borrego and Cox being such focal points for their front lines.
Absolutely. I mean, they're both great focal points, as you say, and those combinations are going to be critical to get the ball in, to get the ball flowing and see the spaces that they're creating in that goal circle. I mean, Kath Cox has been having a strong, steady season, as we always seem to see her have, and I think when the Swifts are playing well, it's when they have that steady influence.
Well, these two have been magnificent all year for their respective teams. The big question for today, though, is who will come out on top?
Hey, babe.
Football Stars of Tomorrow, Wednesday 6:30 Eastern, exclusive to One.
Welcome to the 2010
ANZ Championship Finals.
The Swifts are coming back again.
We are the Thunder from down under.
We will carry the hopes of our state.
We'll fight with all our might.
We will do what it takes to finish on top.
We will put our bodies on the line. This is the New South Wales Swifts versus the Adelaide Thunderbirds here on One.
Welcome back to Acer Arena here in Sydney, and I'm joined by the biggest names in the sport. Liz Ellis, Cheryl McMahon joining me in commentary today. Combined, more games played for Australia between these two than anyone else in the history of the game. 10 premierships between the two of them. And Alison Broadbent, our courtside expert for today, just a lazy 3 premierships for Ali. Commonwealth Games, gold medal, silver medal, you name it. The girls have done it all in the sport of netball. We are in great hands. Ali, over to you.
Thanks, Luke. I don't pair up to those two, but anyway, it's a great atmosphere in here. It's absolutely electric, and I think everyone's looking for a Swifts win today. The expectations are all on the Swifts. Without a loss this season, that's to be expected. A lot of the girls have finals experience and know what they need to do. They will take a lot of confidence from the win they had in the previous rounds, but we all know that finals netball is a whole new ball game. Obviously, the Thunderbirds are underdogs today and have nothing to lose in today's game. I reckon a key to their success is in the goal attack position. If that connection is made into Borrego and done well, the Thunderbirds are a big chance of an upset today.
Thank you, Ali. We just saw the sportsbet.com.au odds as Carla Borrego comes under the court. Cheryl, to you, $4 outsider in a final. You've played against both these sides. Is it a little closer than that?
I would have thought it'd be closer than that for sure. Obviously, obviously the Swifts up here, they've got the home court advantage, and with a big crowd here at Acer Arena, obviously that is going to give them a lift, but do not underestimate this Thunderbirds side. They are a very strong outfit.
Sherelle, one of the things that you notice when you watch the Thunderbirds from the sideline is just how aggressive and almost brutal their defensive line is. Is that what is needed today, almost from the entire tee down, just to sort of unsettle the Swifts and rattle them a little?
I think a strong defensive effort for sure is going to be what is needed to rattle, as you say, the Swifts, and to get them out of that steady play that they play with when they are playing so well. You know, we see Shani Layton there playing a little bit out of position in the wing defence spot, but I think she's done really well in that position this year.
Watching the New South Wales Swifts come onto the court, Sherelle, they won only 2 games last year, and now have gone undefeated. Can you put your finger on what the improvement is, or is it just right across the whole board?
Oh, I think it is right across the whole board. I think last year the Swifts, even although they only came home with 2 wins, they were losing their games by only very, very small margins. So they weren't an only 2-win team last year. I think they were unlucky in some of those. So I think that makes the difference look a little bit bigger than it is.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's the confidence more than anything else. And it's really easy to point to Sonia McClymont. She's the only change in the team and the first international import they've had. But I think you're right, Sherelle. It's all down the court. Just every single player looks to have just stepped up just a couple of percentage points on each one, and they're better for it.
You both touched on the big change and the big surprise. Kate Beveridge, who's played in the goal attack position all year, all of a sudden starts on the bench for a big final. What's the story there? It seems like a massive call to leave her off come major semi-final time.
Look, it is a massive call, Luke, but when you look back to her record against the Swifts, you see in round 2 when she played them, she shot 5 from 8 and was taken from the court at half-time. Round 8, she shot 8 from 13. So you sort of get the impression that perhaps I'll start this way and maybe bring Beveridge on and just get her to run her heart out in the second half.
So we're underway. Couldn't be bigger stakes here. The winner gets to host the grand final. Thunderbirds with the first centre pass, and they've got it quickly and clearly to Carla Borrego, the #1 scorer in the competition. And I took my eyes off there and I marked down the goal. That's something we haven't seen all year, Sherelle.
Yeah, missed shot right under the post, and as Sonia and Beck seem to do, pulled in the rebound.
So quick movement. The other end of the court is Tyree, who the girls have both mentioned hasn't had finals experience, and that's a confident start. So a turnover and a goal to Pratley to get the Swifts underway.
Important for Pratley that she starts well. She struggles sometimes just against the physicality of Gerard, and no doubt Gerard will have really pumped herself up for the game today. She'd love to play well against Pratley.
Speaking about physicality, she's just bowled over Courtney Tyree at the side there to let her know all about it in a big final. Sure, you play on Monia Gerard all the time, and she loves to get a little physical.
She does. That's her style of play, and she certainly puts the pressure on, that's for sure, in defence, it's exactly what you want from your defender.
Really important for Gerard, though, that she allows herself to be steady and just controls that aggression in defence and in attack as well. We just saw there she dropped the ball cold. It's almost like sometimes she's thinking about where she's going to pass it before she catches it. She keeps that under control. She'll be an important contributor today for the Thunderbirds.
Took that one cleanly, and she's gone a little bounce past her beaten.
Step.
And the long ball, so brilliant start from McClymont here on Borrego. She's had a miss, and now a footwork call going the way of McClymont. So Cox working outside the circle. Here's that matchup we're talking about. Pratley on that occasion, good position.
Yeah, she muscled up well, and she's going to have to do that for the entire game. It will make it a long game for her. She's not used to wearing that sort of physicality, but she's got to do it today for her team.
So really early stages, of course, of this match, but a 2-goal start and a couple of turnovers going the way of the New South Wales Swifts. How important, Sherelle, is a good early start in a final?
Yeah, I think probably a little bit of nerves from both teams we've seen. And Carla Borrego, a couple of turnovers. This would be one of the biggest games she has ever played in. So just feeling the pressure a little bit in that Thunderbirds front end. So hopefully they'll settle into that quickly.
And that's the controversy, isn't it? That was Erin Bell there, got held ball call against her. Hasn't really started in the goal attack position all year. So a nervous start for the Adelaide side, Liz.
It's a nervous start, and you just wonder, you know, we've talked about Beveridge potentially coming on in goal attack, but don't forget, when Bell and Beveridge have played together with Beveridge sitting back at goal shooter, it's actually been a really nice combination as well. So there are options there. You don't want to go making changes too early, though. Jane will Thompson's coach final before. She'll know that she needs to let this new lineup bet itself in.
Well, we're here in Sydney at Ace Arena. Another massive crowd getting right behind the New South Wales Swifts, as you'd expect. Nice turnover there for the Thunderbirds. They just need a settling goal here.
It's good work, Leighton. Used a long reach.
Advantage contact goal defence. Advantage contact centre.
A little smile there from Bully on the bench there. Kate Beveridge looking on anxiously. And the first goal for the Thunderbirds to Borrego.
Just there you see just the long arms of Leighton and just the speed. She's a tall girl. She's 6 foot tall. It's tall for a wing defence, but it is that speed that gets her to the ball.
So that was Beaton and also Bell, who just miscommunicated on that occasion, and the pass went astray. So the turnover stat as Leighton hits the deck.
Just a few loose passes there from the Swifts. Almost ended up in a turnover there. Great tip, but fell into the hands of the Swifts, and sometimes the ball just falls your way.
And Susan Pratley said thank you very much, and she'll be very happy with her start on Monia Gerard. She's 3 from 3. She got herself, and again Leighton read that well, nearly cleaned up the umpire here on the sideline. And
oh, Sonia McClellan nearly got it, did just about enough. Would have liked to have seen her attack that ball a little harder. Just kept Erin Bell in 2 minds about where to go, and the Thunderbirds are making pay.
And that's the play we've seen so much of this year. Carla Borrego has been almost unstoppable. Sherelle, she's scored 497 goals coming into today. She's a pretty hard opponent to come up against.
Definitely, and that's the play they need to go to. Erin Bell will create some space in front of her, which will, I'm sure, they will hope that it'll draw the defender off Carla to give her a bit more space.
So Bully there on the crossover got caught out, and exactly as Sherelle McMahon described, created a one-on-one for Borrego.
Certainly did, and Borrego then shooting her 500th goal in this league, and that is all in one season, this being her first season in the ANZ Championship. So what a pickup she has been for the Thunderbirds. And
offside free pass.
Swifts are just lucky to get that back. I was going to say before, I was surprised to see the Swifts had got away to a 4-1 lead. It just felt like the game was much closer, and the Thunderbirds just bridged that gap. Important for them that they stay in the game from the get-go.
So Pratley prepared to put up the long-range one, and it's gone astray.
Thunderbirds' defensive line are just doing enough to rattle the Swifts' front line. We've seen the Swifts not be able to control the tempo like they've liked to be able to do all year.
So Erin Bell yet to score, and she's missed. So some nerves for her. Sherelle, as you pointed out, surprise starter in the goal attack position.
Yeah, a few nerves under the post, so she'll be hoping to get a slot one through fairly quickly.
What's the instructions, Sherelle? Is it just keep shooting? If you're out there to shoot, put them up whenever you feel confident. Doesn't matter where you're from. Would that be what Jane Woodlands is saying to her? We just want you to go out and play a natural game and keep shooting?
Absolutely. You definitely want to keep shooting because you don't want to get yourself into that mode. Beautifully just like Diva Mentor. Both loving that. Particularly, Luke, take your shots when you've got Carla Borrego under there as your teammate to get those rebounds. There's no, she's right up there in that stat.
So big play there from Mentor. The girls out of their seat there when she came flying through.
Centre first.
She just read it so well, and it was just that commitment to the ball. Tyree had no idea she was there. Good and aggressive.
Obstruction. Goalkeeper beside.
There's a long ball in. Borrego, who missed an early one, but doesn't make a mistake now. Ali Broadbent has got a different vantage point to us over here. How are you seeing it so far, Ali?
Yeah, look, it's quite an exciting start. What I've been noticing is the vocalness of the Thunderbirds bench and coaching staff. They've been screaming at the players to have their hands up in defence and really hold up the play in the mid-court. It's obviously working for them, so they're getting a lot of ball like that off Erin Bell. Exactly in defence is what they're after.
Thanks, Ali. We just saw a footwork call. Sherelle and Liz, give me a reading on that because it didn't look like there was anything in it to me.
I couldn't say it. It's the second footwork call that Borrego has given away. It's probably a second for the year, so interesting that that's been looked at closely.
And she turned around, Sherelle, to the bench and sort of had this look on her face as if what is going on. How did you see it, Cheryl?
Well, Carla Borrego, as we see Kath Cox slot another goal beautifully, she's got a very, very wide split. So sometimes when you're putting your feet down, you do have to be very particular because it can, you know, sometimes look as though one's going down before the other. So obviously that's how the umpires read it.
Good clean take there from Beaton. Huge amount of intensity in this. This has got a fair bit riding on this shot for Bell, and that will do her confidence the world of good. Her first goal, she only had 2 attempts, but that'll settle the nerves a little.
Gee, there is so much going down in that Swifts front line, just off the ball. A lot of push and a lot of shove, and it's going both ways. So, you can just see how much is at stake in this game.
Gerard came out hunting for an intercept there. Bit more patience required on this build-up as Prattley works her way around. Mentor.
Contact, goal defence. Sit down. Yes.
Miss from Cox, but brilliant athletic rebound from Prattley. The crowd enjoy it. And Cox not enjoying her second miss in a row.
Sitting at 2 from 4 at 50%. Unlike Cox, we really do see her step up and perform well in the big games.
So Borrego, haven't seen her shoot from long range too often, but decided that was the time to do it. And made no mistake.
It's a brilliant rebound here from Prattley. Shortest player in that circle. Just committed to it, knew where Cox was, knew where to flip the ball back to.
Sure, I'm watching McClymber here lining up on Borrego. You can just see her taking front position there and trying to defend. I mean, what's more annoying for you as a shooter? Would you rather someone play from behind the side or in front?
Well, I think for a taller shooter, that front position makes it tougher because you have to put the ball up over the defender, and I think that's the key. That's what the Swifts defenders will be trying to make them do. But Carla is using her body so well to get that space on the baseline.
Important goal here for the New South Wales Swifts coming through Kath Cox, because the Thunderbirds really had some great momentum up. They were down by 3 goals, got it out to a 3-goal lead of their own as the long ball goes in, and Borrego's just got such good balance. Doesn't ever fall over, Sherelle. It's incredible.
The Swifts have gone on an 8-2 run here, so Thunderbirds really have the momentum, and a couple of times the Swifts have been lucky to get the ball down near the post. Thunderbirds making it so difficult for them to find space, and they're contesting every ball.
Well, Cox has gone down here, and she, as though she's copped a decent elbow, I reckon, to the back of the head.
She actually copped it in the face, it looked like, as she ran out. Mentor had her arms out, and a little bit of a collision there. She sort of almost went down gracefully, didn't she?
She did just ease herself down to the ground there.
Either that or she's concussed, one of the two, and as you can see, it looks as though she's a little distressed by that one.
She certainly doesn't go down easily, so it'll be interesting to see what actually happened there.
Never nice the elbow to the top of the nose, is it, in any stage of the sport? But maybe this has come at a good time, Sherelle. As a captain of your side, we just have a look there and you can just see her head just whiplash back. Nothing untoward, ran into the elbow, it looks like, of Jiva Mentor. But from a leadership point of view now, Kath Cox gets her nose attended to. What's the message you'd be saying for the Swifts? They had a good start, and now they're down by 3 goals. So what sort of words would you be saying at this time out?
Yeah, it might have actually been a little head clash, sorry, Lee, because I'm looking at the side of Cox's nose there. The Swifts, not a bad time to have a bit of a relax for them. I feel like they've just been a bit fumbly with their ball, not quite as sure and as certain as they sometimes are. Obviously, this Thunderbirds lineup putting an immense amount of pressure on that.
Sometimes, Cheryl, you can go out and have so much respect for your opposition's defensive line that you sort of lose the ability to be sure about what you're doing. And the reason the Swifts have gone through undefeated is because they've been so sure and so certain in their ball handling, and they've really controlled the tempo of games. It's almost like they're a little bit worried about the Thunderbirds, and they haven't allowed themselves to settle in.
Yeah, perhaps, and I'd be worried about the Thunderbirds' defensive lineup too. They're an extremely tough defensive lineup to play against.
It was a decent head collision, as we saw the replay of, and Catherine Cox, you can see the big red welt there on the side of her nose, but maybe it's been what she's needed, because she hit that superbly.
She'll argue against you. She's a single girl, you know. You don't need a big red welt on the side of your head.
Advantage obstruction, advantage contact, wing. Advantage obstruction, contact, goal defence. Sorry, goalkeeper outside.
Well, plenty of whistle, and we thought we'd see that in this game from these umpires.
Outside, goalkeeper.
Sort of they know that they're a little bit nervous as well.
Erin Bell about to shoot. We'll go to Julie Fitzgerald. Julie, how have you seen your side start to this final?
I think we're getting ourselves into trouble a little bit just with our placement. It's not quite as accurate as it should be.
Julie, that timeout then was just, a little bit fortuitous in the timing, even though Coxie took a blow to the head. What did you say to your team?
I think we just need to calm down a little bit, make sure that we do have short leads to the ball. We talk about playing a short game, but if we don't present a short lead, we can't.
And Julie, we have spoken a little bit about the change in the Thunderbirds lineup. How have you seen that affect the defensive play that your girls have put out?
We're not at all surprised to see it. We had talked a lot about it because we felt they finished off quite strongly against Magic that way.
Julie, thanks for your time. We'll let you get back into the thrust of this first quarter as Pratley misses a long shot. We've just got over 3 minutes remaining, and it's a 3-goal margin. Can be reduced to 2 as Pratley misses a long-range shot. Defensive rebound. So really good start here to the Thunderbirds, who had the first 3 goals scored against them in quick succession. And since then, they've really been able to get on the scoreboard. Borrego looks really settled now for her.
Yeah, Nat Von Berto there just flying down the edge of the court. She's so important to this Thunderbirds lineup, and she just really controls things so well for them.
That was a massive play then for the Thunderbirds, just getting that rebound from the Pratley miss, and they were so quick down court. That's dangerous for the Swifts. Just that transition play they've been so good at. Just departed them then.
Nice little dish off there from Bell to Borrego, who had a bit of a nervous moment early. She had a couple of turnovers, a missed shot, and now all of a sudden she's 10 from 11. See how damaging she is in this contest. Have a look at her work there in the goal square as Alberto comes through. We're out to a 5-goal margin, so it's a real danger period here for the Swifts.
Just see how much work the Swifts front line is having to do. Just then, Cox and Pratley both well and truly out of the circle and away from the post.
It's always going to be the issue for me, Sherelle, when you go through the season undefeated. They haven't really been challenged, the New South Wales Swifts. They had an overtime game, which they won against the Tactics. But since then, they've been able to sort of cruise through against everyone. If you find yourself in a big final down by a serious margin, that is a new territory for this side to go into.
And it'll be very interesting to see how they respond as we see a great chase down there. Carla just not quite able to keep that in. But you're right, they haven't been put under the pressure. But this Swiss lineup has got the experience that they need to get themselves through. But the Thunderbirds, very impressive early on. And down in their defensive lineup, very tough.
Well, another turnover, just trying to work it through. And this will be really costly as quarter time approaches. And what it's done is it's enabled Erin Bell to get settled. That's goal number 3 for her, so she's doing her job, Liz.
She most certainly is. She's creating space, but she's going to the post, and that's important. Well, Monty Gerard just going on a little too much with things at the moment. She's taking herself out of the game. She's been playing so well, but you give away a penalty that far away, and that's what it allows you to happen. Pratley with the ball under the post.
Well, Sherelle, is it worth, if you think opponent might be a little unhappy with the pressure, is it worth giving away one of these and just sort of saying, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this if you can't handle it?
Oh, well, possibly. I guess it depends what your style of play is. Great little touches there from the Thunderbirds as they brought that ball down. Possibly, I mean, that's Monia's style of game. She likes to stamp herself physically on the game, and that's where her real strength is. And I think her combination in this game so far with Jiva Mentor has been fantastic. It makes things very, very tough in that shooting circle.
See the scramble on here with 16 seconds remaining, and Cox desperate. She knows that time is running out, so fires the shot. Great rebound effort. And they will get the final goal on quarter time to reduce it back to a 4-goal margin.
Really interesting quarter, wasn't it? You just saw the Thunderbirds come out and contest everything. They started off a little nervous in attack, but towards the end, they were finding some really nice space and delivering great ball, Sherelle. You just get the impression that the Thunderbirds just started off a little more intensely than the Swifts.
Yeah, they have, and they obviously they've had a great start and really on top early in this game.
High energy first quarter. It's delivered everything we've expected. The Thunderbirds up by 4 goals at quarter.
Turned away from, but you can't see 4 I understand that, but just make sure you don't focus on one. But I think too, in that quarter they threw absolutely everything at us that they possibly could. It's very important that we stay calm through that.
And that stat too, so maybe a little bit of a nervous start as we see the Swiss shot chart come up there. really, you know, not getting that early, that close-in shot in front of the post, which, as we talk about, is quite important. Close in, they're very strong, but maybe just that pressure that Jiva Mentor and Moni Gerard putting over the shot, making those longer ones just a little bit more tough.
I mentioned about the one surprise change at the start. Kate Beveridge starting on the interchange bench. Erin Bell started the first quarter, shot 4 from 5, did a really good job. The Thunderbirds will be feeling very happy at quarter time. We might take this opportunity now to go to Ellie Broadbent. Ellie, any changes at quarter time?
Yeah, Luke, no changes as to be expected. The thing I'm liking about the Thunderbirds team at the moment is they've done their homework and they're really sticking to the one-on-one style of defence, and it's really shaking up the ball, and they're contesting absolutely everything. The question I'm going to have on that is whether they can last a full game in that style, because at the moment it's really working for them.
Well, they've scored an early goal to start the second quarter. Gerard comes through the deflection, and they're looking pretty settled at the moment, Adelaide Thunderbirds. And the pass from Tyree goes astray. If you just joined us, the favourites with sportsbet.com.au, the New South Wales Swifts undefeated. They started $1.25 favourite. The Thunderbirds were a $4 go with sportsbet.com.au, and they couldn't have started any better, Liz and Sherelle.
Yeah, they've started beautifully, and Ali talks about the commitment that they've had in defence, but don't forget this front line is starting to work really well. They've probably got the best penetration off the line down towards Borrego that they've had all year, and they're just finding her really well at the moment. And Borrego, as we see there, gets a penalty. Great contest between her and McCloma, and Borrego proving that she's up to that at the moment.
Missed, but a rebound from Bell, who is giving away some height inside the circle, and she's started pretty well, Sherelle, Erin Bell.
I think she's running the front space in front of Carla Borrego really nicely, actually, and you'd have to be happy with her start. 5 from 6 goals, you're definitely happy with that from her.
Good defensive work here from the Swifts, just forcing the Thunderbirds back, and they find Borrego in between the two defenders, and she takes that so well, the high ball.
And if Erin can keep developing that connection that she's obviously building with Carla, that is just going to be better and better for the Thunderbirds as this game goes on.
We're out to a 7-goal margin. The undefeated Swifts in the final. The winner hosts the grand final. It couldn't be bigger. And the Swifts find themselves just under some enormous pressure early stage of the second quarter.
Yeah, they certainly do. And the one thing that they're not doing, which we've seen them do absolutely all year, as we see Pratley take really nice, strong rebound, is they're almost second-guessing themselves in their delivery of the ball. So what we've seen them do all year is see someone and deliver the ball straight away. Now, because of the pressure, the defensive pressure from the Thunderbirds, they're thinking a little bit about it. That's allowing the defender to have a good red-hot go at the pass.
Ball into Borrego. And out of court, she took it cleanly again, but unfortunately for her, couldn't keep her feet inside the court.
And just great body pressure there from Becky Bully. She doesn't have the height on Carla Borrego, but just the position of her body forced her over the baseline.
Just see how much the Swifts are being dragged up the court by this Thunderbirds pressure. And one of the things that the Swifts aren't doing is delivering the ball, and that's very close to 3 seconds, really flirting with that rule.
You can hear the crowd just saying, get rid of it. They're going to be in trouble, so they're having to be really patient here.
Causing contact there. Centre, you.
Oh, an offensive call goes against Kim Green. You can see the look on her face. That's a big win for the Thunderbirds. Put them under enormous pressure there, Sherelle.
Will, and that's what comes from just that build-up of pressure. You know, they're struggling to get the ball into that attacking line, and everyone's trying to find space, so that's when you'll get a few pushing calls, perhaps.
Is there a call that you have in a situation like this where you're really struggling, trying to force the ball through, to say maybe be more patient, just hold on to it, slow the game down? And Sherelle, is that something that the Vixens use?
Certainly, I think every team would have a call where you know you're having a bit of a tough time for whatever reason it is, and you have a call between each other that triggers you into the way you're more comfortable playing, or you're playing at your best.
Yeah, some teams have set plays, so that you have a play that you know that 9 times out of 10 will get the ball down court to you, so you set that up and off you go. So you would expect for the Swifts to have a couple of set plays off the centre pass that they might go back to.
And that was an extraordinary deflection, and I think Pratley's going to claim it, but it might have bounced off her head and through the goal. If we have another look at it in a second, the miss from Cox, a couple of people contested inside the circle and it's gone through.
Really important couple of plays here. That goal went through, brought the crowd to life. Plenty of push and shove in the mid-court, just off camera. Green and Vomberto going down. Important play from Smith there. Got a hand to the ball, got possession.
Jane Williams-Thompson joins us. Jane, great start from your side. You must be really happy with the way they've settled into this game.
First few minutes weren't too flash, but after we got over the nervous areas, we've settled into a really good rhythm, and it's pleasing to see that everyone's following the game plan.
And Jane, obviously the defensive pressure that's being put on by the girls is enormous at the moment. Obviously that would have been a big focus for you.
Yeah, we really need 7-on-7. I think the work that the girls or the attackers are doing, putting pressure by the time it gets to their shooters is enormous at the moment, and we really need to maintain that.
Jamie, in the lead up to this game, a lot of people thought the Swifts were untouchable. How do you deal with that in the lead up to this game when you're getting ready to play a team like that? What do you talk about?
We've really only looked at ourselves, Liz. We haven't been able to look up for a second, and we knew we had a lot of work to do to get close to them, and it's been a real focus on us.
Jane, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. The Thunderbirds have an 8-goal lead. And again, that was a lucky deflection there for the Swifts as they go in long to Borrego, and they are scoring really easily. The Thunderbirds at one end, Sherelle. A lot harder work at the other end for the Swifts.
It seems to be a real contrast at the moment, doesn't it, as we see the Swifts going back on a centre pass again, and that just makes it really tough to get through. Another turnover there with the pressure on Shani Layton.
Well, Kim Green, you just saw fumble that last year when the Swifts won 2 games. She was #1 in the competition for turning the ball over. She's not even in the top 10 this year, and the final has produced. Look at this goal. This is the replay we're talking about. Off the hands, half mental, half Pratley and through. And an important goal, but we're out to a 10-goal margin. Can you believe it as we go back to the action?
Goal attack.
Thunderbirds have really taken the game up here to the New South Wales Swifts.
Holding centre.
They certainly have, and they've been a little bit smart about it. There's plenty going on off the ball, but it's almost like the Thunderbirds players are the ones who aren't getting caught. So both teams giving it equally. You just get the impression that the Thunderbirds are being a little bit smarter, and they're winning those little push and shove battles.
That is break wing.
So it's an 11-goal margin here. The Adelaide Thunderbirds, extraordinary scenes. Pass comes into Katz Cox. The winner gets to host the grand final. And the New South Wales Swifts reduce the margin back to 10 goals. As you can imagine, being undefeated the whole year, could not have been a firmer favourite coming in hosting this first final. They are under enormous pressure here. Halfway mark of the second quarter, miss. And a rebound. So they really need to start stringing some goals together here. The Swifts, as they just have to work it so hard, Sherelle, through the midcourt.
They do. They're really needing to use that backup. The Thunderbirds are just making it incredibly hard to get it over their attacking transverse line. The other interesting one for me is that Carla Borrego's only got 1 rebound. I mentioned before, Erin would be happy to put up the shot with her underneath that press. I'd prefer her to be, you know, bodying up under there and being there for that rebound.
Well, Kim Green has just thrown that way over the head of Cox. It was about a metre off Skubich. Gets a chance here. Did really well, but it fell into the arms of Vomberto. So there's mistakes that you haven't seen all year are coming freely for the Swifts here in the major semi-final. You just see a bit of the stress on all the players wearing red so far, Liz.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? I've talked before about the Swifts second-guessing each other and not giving the ball straight away. That has just really put their timing out in attack, and it means that they're forced, I guess, to throw passes that they normally wouldn't. So pretty interesting. The Thunderbirds at the moment 23, leading the Swifts 14. So I doubt that anyone would have picked this margin this early in the game.
Sherelle, we're going to an injury timeout. Look at the pass there from Kim Green. It was never, ever going to connect. That's her 4th turnover. She averages less than 3 turnovers a game, so she really has had some trouble so far in this game.
Well, she has, but that is just a result of the Thunderbirds' pressure all over the court. It's not necessarily that Kim's choosing the wrong passes as such, but it's just that full-on, full-court pressure. It'll make that happen.
Just having some issues with our score at the moment. The Thunderbirds at 24, the New South Wales Swifts are 13, so an 11-goal margin. And we're over the halfway mark of the second quarter, Liz.
One of the things that I love, Luke, when you're coming up into a semi-final or any sort of pressure game like this, you look at the matchups and you look at the more experienced player taking on the young Turk, the up-and-comer, and that's exactly what we're getting in the Von Berto-Green matchup. And you've got to say at the moment, Nat Von Berto, the vice-captain of the Diamond, Cheryl, she sits under you in that position. She's the wiser of the two players, and you can see that at the moment. She's winning this battle.
Oh, she is always so steady and so strong, and we've seen her a couple of times come off the line for intercepts as well, so it's not just her attacking play. She makes it very difficult through that centre third.
So really slick movement here from Gerard through to Von Berto, and they've come unstuck on this play. Now an opportunity for the Swifts to just move it freely through the court. He's Courtney Tyree in her first final. Hasn't had an easy start to this match.
One thing the Swifts need to do is just to, and I've said it before, they just have to give the ball off more often than not. If you've got someone running for the ball and there's a defender all over them, you will get the penalty, but you have to deliver the pass first. The umpires won't blow their whistle until the ball's close to them. And the Swifts at the moment look like they're looking for a clear pass. They've just got to give it.
So get the score back up. Really important goal there to Cox. Reduces the margin back to 8. Bully did really well to deflect it. Couldn't come up with the turnover. Little 1-2 there, Bell. Von Berto. So Bell will go long range, and she delivers her 9th goal so far in this game.
Bell's having a great game, and we talked about her before, just being prepared to take the shots. Maybe one of the reasons why Borrego hasn't had that many rebounds is because between them they've not missed that many shots. Bell in particular, 9 from 11. She's got more goals than Cox and Prattley.
Good effort there from Tyree, really putting Leighton under some heat, but they're up to it, the Thunderbirds. They're able to hang on to possession. And then there is the game plan to get it into Borrego, and she delivers again, Cheryl.
Now, not only are we talking about Erin Bell in that front line, I've been really impressed with Emily Beaton and the connection that she's been having with the shooters too.
So here is Beaton, who Cheryl's just mentioned, connecting nicely. Von Berto just doesn't ever seem to make a mistake, although on that occasion, turnover is on.
And I guess Emily Beaton's performance is more impressive given the nature of her opposition. Kim Smith is having a fine season and has been one of the real form defenders for the Swifts, just gets the job done. Now that's a better lead-up. That's probably one of the better lead-ups that the Swifts have had to an attempt at goal. Deserved to be finished.
Great rebound there on the baseline too by Jiva Mentor. Just twinkle toes on the baseline, kept it in.
So 4 minutes remaining in the first half. We've had some issues with the scoring. We're going to go with our champion data team here. 26-14 is the score that we've got up, and we believe that to be correct. Whatever it is, we've got it at 13 goals now. The Thunderbirds are in an incredible position here as we approach half-time. And the home crowd here in Sydney are a little stunned, Liz.
Well, how extraordinary. 3.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Swifts have shot 4, make that 5 goals this quarter. Now, for a team that averages 54 goals a game, that's extraordinary.
So back to a 12-goal margin. Here's Gerard. Emily Beaton, who's impressed Cheryl McMahon. She said, Cheryl, she's really been able to get the ball in nicely to Borrego.
Goalkeeper set aside.
Cheryl, for Julie Fitzgerald at half-time, and this was, we'll look at the goal attempts for the quarter, 17-8 in favour of the Thunderbirds. Kimberly Green's got possession now on the edge of the circle. What do you do at half-time, Cheryl? Do you make some changes and you try and change things up?
Well, you'd certainly look at things. As we've mentioned earlier in the telecast, the Swifts have not needed to do that this year. They haven't needed to explore that depth too much under a pressure situation, so it will be very interesting to see. As the goalpost is very friendly to Carla Borrego there, it'll be really interesting to see where she goes or if she just lets them play it out, because there is a long way to go in this game, and this Swiss lineup is very capable of pulling back even this bigger margin.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I think if you looked at that defensive line, they're not doing too bad a job. They're trying to win the ball back, getting tips and touches where they need to. The real problem for the Swifts is just that link into the front line, and I just don't know if they've got the depth on the bench to make too many changes in that regard.
So the undefeated New South Wales Swifts 13 wins across the home and away season, now find themselves 14 goals down, and Cox responds with a big goal. Sherelle, the hometown crowd enjoy it.
Massive goal. She had to check her heels to make sure she was in the goal circles, how long that shot was. Great pressure shot.
It is good, but that's, I guess, a really good example. Pratley had nowhere to go, so she gave it to a skipper who took the body and came up with the goal.
Crowd let you know what they think about that decision. It seemed to be really soft from where we are. Borrego goes up over the top.
Yeah, I reckon it was a soft call. There's been plenty let go in this game, which is how we like it. So you want to see the players have a really good go, and Kim Green can feel aggrieved at that one.
She can also feel as though in the biggest game of the year, she's been an incredible player all year, but 5 turnovers. Looks as though she's lost some composure. That shot gets a miss and rebounded by mentor Sherelle McMahon. What do you think about Kim Green's start to this game?
Kim, as I mentioned before, she's had a few more turnovers than we're perhaps used to, and I think she will settle into this game as it continues on.
So Bully, every play feels as though it is going to be massive, Liz, because you don't get a 15-goal margin reduced in a few minutes' time. You're going to have to chip away at it. They just can't afford to make too many mistakes. Good effort from Pratley. And that is a great goal.
And they need more goals, more than anything else. Between Cox and Pratley, they've missed 10 goals, and the margin is 12. So, yeah, they're not getting the volume, but just the accuracy isn't there for the Swifts. Both shooters sitting in the 60s. Borrego, on the other hand, 23 from 27 at 85%. Bell at 75%. They're just getting better service, the Thunderbirds.
And you can just see how hard it is to score down at the New South Wales end, and the held ball call goes against Kim Green on half-time. So 15-goal margin, Sherelle. New South Wales Swifts have got an enormous task ahead.
They do, and Kim Green just trying to hold on to that ball so they'd have the centre in the second half. But look, I would not have tipped this scoreline at all. The Thunderbirds doing an amazing job, both in attack and defence.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they just seem to be a little bit more composed. They've upset the Swifts more than anything else.
Amazing first half here. 15 goals to favour the Thunderbirds.
A cheetah can always pick another cheetah.
Alicia's husband has his suspicions.
Will, really, it's fine. Okay, I'll see you soon.
And there's absolutely nothing he can do about it.
If you accidentally cross the line,
will he risk going back to jail to find out the truth?
The Good Wife, tonight on 10.
Mars Red is half the fat with delicious chocolate, caramel and double whipped nougat. So prepare yourself for a lighter chocolate hit.
Just a sec.
Nice one, Kevin.
HD.
Park, it is half-time in the major semi-final, and in what is looking to be an absolutely stunning upset, the Swifts trailing the Adelaide Thunderbirds 31 goals to 18. And Sherelle McMahon, I don't know that anyone would have picked this margin at half-time with the Swifts on the wrong end of it.
No, that's right. I certainly would have picked it. I thought this game was going to be really close the whole way through, so to see that margin, a little bit surprising.
Certainly is, and just look at those stats. I mean, what do they tell? There's so much to look at.
So much to look at. The shooting percentage, as is highlighted there, is certainly one of the keys. Also, the turnovers, quite high for the Swifts, and we've seen them on an average of just 15 for the game. They're up to 11 already in just the half, so the pressure is certainly on.
Absolutely, and even though both teams are equal with the turnovers, you just get this feeling that the Swifts are just struggling to get the ball down court. Now, we just filmed this little bit of footage as the Swifts left the court, and Catherine Cox initially, early in the game, took a pretty big hit to the head from Jiva Mentor. And we just see her limping off there. You have to wonder at her fitness going to the second half.
Well, she did have a bit of a nick to the side of the nose, and obviously it was a very big knock that we saw with Jiva Mentor. A little bit of a limp there. Don't know if that's just something that we always see from Coxie, whether she's a bit lame or something's happened. We'll have to keep a very close eye on that.
Yeah, we certainly will, though she's not having it all her own way today. The Thunderbirds being incredibly aggressive in defence, and it is paying absolute dividends for the Thunderbirds in today's match. Well, we've been watching what these girls do best this afternoon, but we can have a look now at Kimberly Green doing something that's a little bit unusual, Sherelle. This is the second of our Mars Go Play challenges.
Welcome to another Mars Play challenge. Today it's Sydney Swift centre starlet Kimberly Green as she takes on some bloke in a dress. What's going on there, mate?
Well, you asked me to wear it.
Didn't think you'd put it on. Well, today it's basketball. They get 5 shots each. Whoever drains the most wins.
Here we see the famous LeBron James warm-up ritual. A little too heavy on the chalk. He might look like an idiot, but he's not missing today. But neither's Kim. They are going basket for basket. This is exciting stuff. Well, the half-court shot will decide the win. Off the rim! That's ridiculous. Chalkface wins.
Kimberly, you've been beaten by a man in a dress.
I'm kind of embarrassed.
So you should be. And Dan, you just look like a winner, mate. Well done. How do you feel?
Oh, mate, great. I'd like to thank...
No one cares, mate. We'll see you next time.
Somewhere.
Nearest location.
To you.
Welcome back to Acer Arena. At half-time, it's the Thunderbirds 31 leading the Swifts 18. And you've just seen a little promo for Australia's best netball shot. You've got the chance to win a trip for 2 to the World Netball Championships next year in Singapore. Hopefully our co-commentator, Sherelle McMahon, will be leading the Diamonds. You can get over there and cheer for them. Just go to that website, 10.com.au/netball, and send us your best netball photo.
So we're about to get underway in the second half, and an extraordinary first half. See the scoreline there, a 13-goal lead to the Thunderbirds. New South Wales Swifts undefeated in 2010 so far, but they are under enormous pressure in this major semi-final. Quickly go to Ali Broadbent. There's been a significant change here at half-time.
Yeah, there has been a change for the Swifts, Luke. Ashley Brazel's come on to centre and Kim Green's gone back to wing attack. I actually think it's a really good move for the Swifts. I think it's one part of their game they've struggled to get their centre passes off the line at in attack, so I'm hoping that'll bring a lot of drive on the court.
So Courtney Tyree, the player to come off, and Ashley Brazel, who's only played 2 quarters this year. But it's a desperate situation when your side's down by 13 goals. You've got to make some sort of move, and this is the one that Julie Fitzgerald's made.
Yeah, and not a bad move. Ash Brazel is a beautiful athlete. She's going to be nervous, and that's where we see a little early turnover from her there. But the Swifts have got it back, and she's a sort of player who is so explosive and she's so strong that she'll actually cope pretty well with the physical demands of this contest.
A little deflection there from Bell, Becky Bully, who won the Holden Cruise as the Australian Player of the Year. She's had an unbelievable season, but Swifts in this big final, they need everyone to really stand up, and I can't afford to make too many mistakes, Sherelle. When you're this far down, everything has to go your way.
Everything definitely has to go your way. There's no doubt about that, and they can get their flow back in this game, and when they're on fire, they can score very quickly, the Swifts. So we see Sonia McCleaver just nearly getting one of those turnovers. Yep. And she did. Sonia is in everything at the moment. I saw her the very first play come out of the circle, have a go at the ball.
And then she just panicked, Sherelle, a little bit as you were just pumping her up. She just didn't have a lot of options, and that has been what's happened in this game so far, Liz. They haven't been able to then have composure when they've come up with a decent play.
Which is just extraordinary, given that the season that they've had. It's almost like they're forgetting to do the things that got them to this point in the first place. Just watching the Swifts defensive line then, looks like they've slipped into a couple of bad habits, which they sort of formed last year when they just didn't have the strength in that goalkeeper position. A couple of times, Bully and Smith have just gone to the nearest player rather than sitting on their own player. They've got to stick to that defensive one-on-one play that has got them to this point.
We're out to a 15-goal margin. Probably did well there. Just was able to pluck it from between Gerard's legs, and they're looking for a moment, something in this game that they can hang their hat on and really try and go on a 6 or 7 goal run.
Contact centre.
Put some pressure back on the Thunderbirds. They've played each other twice in this season. In round 2, the Swifts beat them by 7 goals. In round 8, they beat them by 16 goals. So the form line against Adelaide's been enormous, but they find themselves in a final still trailing by 14.
Yeah, particularly last week, Thunderbirds just didn't look comfortable in that game against the Magic. They got out enthused, but they've brought that same level of enthusiasm into today's match. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? Momentum's an amazing thing in sport. A little bit swinging with the Swifts now.
Saw Gerard there clean up Kim Green on the way through when the ball was out of contest, and Green getting a little agitated. Sherelle and Monia just having a bit of a smile on her face, so she's been able to get under their skin a little bit today.
Yeah, and I think there's some agitation happening with this Swiss lineup for sure, so they'll need to settle that and just get back into the rhythm of this game.
Beaten little dish off there to Borrego.
Beautiful little movement there from Borrego, and just shows... Yeah, and there's that little bit of niggle there from Gerard. Green not happy, but Gerard got away with it.
Long ball into Borrego again, Liz, and she's thought about going back and said, oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll have a look around, I'll, spin around a bit. Just two vastly different approaches to the Borrego getting the ball. One was a move from her on the baseline, one was a long high ball. Incredibly difficult to defend against.
As you know, Lizzie, that is the toughest thing when... Nat from Berto. Beautiful play there. That's what we spoke about before. She'll do the big things when it counts. And when you've got Borrego in there as well, mixing it up, it is, as you say, it's so hard to defend.
Obstruction. Both of you. Centre, both of you out. Step back, goal defence.
So you can just feel the frustration here for the Swifts players. Bully does really well. Comes up with a big play.
They're getting possession. It's just the Thunderbirds are just as good at the other end as disrupting play and getting possession back. So you're right, Sherelle, the Swifts in attack just need to take a bit of a deep breath, but they just have to be prepared to deliver the ball to each other. Just like that. So they got the penalty because they gave the ball.
Contact the ball, wing both out. Yes.
Oh, fake pass, and then Gerard had a reasonable look at it, but it was well played to Pratley. So still some strong support here from the New South Wales crowd, and Cass Cox is going to have her nose attended to again.
And we actually mentioned Cass Cox walking off the court at half-time with a bit of a limp, and she's come out with that left thigh strap, so perhaps she's not only got a knock to the face, also to the thigh, which is not fun.
Well, sometimes your second injury takes your mind off the first injury, so she's just realised that her head's sore.
Have you seen this one, Liz and Sherelle, head-to-head, Pratley and Gerard?
Oh, I think, as we've mentioned before, Monia Gerard is exerting herself as a physical presence on this game. I think that she's doing that really well. We've looked at the penalties, and they're not that high for contact penalties, so obviously she's doing that within the rules, but she's just putting on some great pressure.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at Gerard and look at her stats. Hasn't got an intercept to her name. Has a couple of rebounds one rebound to her name and just the one deflection, but where she's been so damaging is just cutting off that space, contesting every ball and really forcing the turnovers. And as you said, Luke, getting under the skin of not just her direct opponent in Pratley, but we've also seen her upset Kim Green today as well.
Ali Broadbent's our courtside expert. Ali, your old side needs something special to come back from here.
Yeah, it will take something special, but the Swifts can always do that. That's a top quality team that they are. The thing that's just happened is Catherine Cox has gone to the bench and Amy Wild's come on. She was her head is causing us a problem, so I think that's obviously why she's gone to the bench at the moment.
Thanks, Ali. So that's a big call there, isn't it, to lose your number one shooter, Liz, who's had a great season. Another turnover, and Borrego scores goal number 27.
You do, and you just wonder how much Julie Fitzgerald, the Swifts coach, is protecting Cox. They've got a second chance next week.
You're not conceding already, Lizzie.
Well, yeah. I know I shouldn't, and I know it's bad, but hey, there's a 17-goal difference. Now, having said that, though, Amy Wild came on and played for the Swifts, replaced Cath Cox in an earlier game this year, and actually played beautifully and dug the Swifts out of a hole. So she's got a fairly big hole to dig herself out of today, or dig her team out of today. So Just keep an eye on the young player. She's done it before.
Sport is just incredible, isn't it? You can go undefeated all year. Sportsbet.com.au had the odds at $4 in a two-horse race here. The Thunderbirds, that big an outsider. No one thought that they were able to come up here and win this final. Not only are they winning it, they are dominating Sherelle by 18 goals. It's been a staggering effort so far.
It has, and I guess the people that can't believe they could do it, which is the Thunderbirds. They have come in here with so much confidence. You can see it in the way they're defending, the pressure they're putting on, and the way they bring the ball down the court. There is so much confidence in this team.
So the margin reduced back to 17 goals, but we've spoken a bit about the ease with which the scoring has been for the Thunderbirds, and at the other end it has been a lot harder work. Borrego just seems...
Advantage obstruction.
Although she's got some quality opposition, you can hear glass nearly broke then with Borrego squealing, demanding the ball.
Well, the dogs in the neighbourhood have gone crazy, but the Sydney crowd not doing so. So Swift's defensive line still putting plenty into it.
And a really great contest there. Unfortunately, Kim Smith just going offside, so the umpires pulled that back.
And you just saw a shot there of Catherine Cox having the ice pack applied to the knee. Now, Sherelle, normally for me, when you put the ice on, that means afternoon over.
Well, I assume you wouldn't take her out of the game unless that was her afternoon over. And obviously that ice back on there does indicate that, so we'll have to wait and see.
So Smith now to Green.
Just thought the change-up just last time the Swifts brought the ball down the court. Amy Wild is a completely different player to Kath Cox. Incredibly mobile, a little bit shorter, and I just thought the Swifts lead-up was actually a little bit better. Jiva Mentor forced to go looking for her opponent.
Well, Kim Green, nothing has gone right for her today, as we just see it just whisked away to Borrego, who will score without issue. That last pass hit her flush in the head because she nearly fell over. And we're not being critical because she has been a star this year, Kim Green, but her afternoon, I'll talk you through her numbers. She's had 7 turnovers, 6 penalties, only had the 7 assists, so it's her worst day of the year by an absolute mile.
And I think she'd agree with you, Luke, and you can tell she's getting frustrated. She's having plenty to say to the umpires, plenty to say to her opposition, and you know when Kim Green is playing well, she's actually really quiet to everyone else around her except her teammates, and there's the Falcon. You just see they're wearing the ball in the head, so you just know she's frustrated, and she knows that she can play better than this.
Advantage contact centre. Wing defence contact.
Natalie Von Berto, as you mentioned, Sherelle, she just doesn't make mistakes, does she? In big games, in fact, every game that you see her play, she just seems to be so clean and so confident in everything she does.
Yeah. Again, we saw that beautiful feed into Carla Borrego, and the space was created by Erin Bell working the front.
Amy Wild, the substitute for Catherine Cox. She had a little deflection, got it back. Pratley steps up and scores.
And I actually think Sue Pratley, since that change, has, for whatever reason, settled into this game. She's put up a great few shots, and that connection there from Amy Wild was a great one.
Contact goalkeeper.
It's goal number 14 for Susan Pratley.
Goalkeeper.
Shooting at 74% so far in this match. And we have to pay some credit to the movers. Erin Bell misses, but you spoke about the rebounding power of Borrego. There it is on display, but we had our eyebrows raised here when Beveridge started on the interchange bench, but it has worked superbly for them.
It's absolutely worked. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, their starting lineup, they wanted to rejig it, they wanted to try and find something different, and it's working at the moment.
Ball set up there for Bully, who intercepted it cleanly, and now an opportunity to try and drive it through the mid-court.
Just see the ball getting advanced. Shani Layton told that she'd given the penalty away deliberately, so a rare win there for the Swifts. You just get the feeling that their defensive line has not given up. They're still getting them back the ball. It's just a matter of scoring.
Julie Fitzgerald joins us now. Julie, it's been an incredible afternoon for your side so far. Changes. You've lost Catherine Cox. Is she capable of coming back on in the match if you need her?
Not really. Not today, no.
Julie, what do you put this turnaround to? You've played the Thunderbirds twice this year and you've got 2 good wins over them. What is the difference?
I think when we first started out that we weren't just right, we didn't have enough options to the ball, we weren't short, we tried to be a little bit too long, and now that the pressure's really mounted on them, I think it's so long since we've been under any sustained pressure that they're not coping with it at all.
And Julie, what will you talk to the girls about at 3/4 time?
to go back to what we're good at, I think our speed of the ball and the way the ball's leaving our hands had got really slow, and as soon as a bit of doubt crept into our mind, we were very slow to turn and get rid of the ball and to try and bring that speed of the ball back into our attack.
Julie, good luck with the rest of the match. Thanks for joining us again. We just saw Kat Cox, who won't participate in this match any further this afternoon. She's got a nasty head clash. She's also got her quad with a big ice pack on it. And Borrego's making some noise out there, Cheryl.
She is, and Emily Beaton just trying to perhaps... Oh! Borrego nearly got her hands on that. Just trying to be a little bit too cute. The behind the back bounce pass, no look. I think it was everything.
Well, when you're nearly 20 goals up, it's worthwhile having a go at that. And hadn't come off, it would have been the pass of the year. It was on its way to looking pretty spectacular had it found a safe set of hands.
Vantage contact keeper.
Adelaide Thunderbirds a lot this year on Sunday afternoon netball. I watched Carla Borrego. She's playing in a final, and she looks as though she's loving it more than anyone else on the court, Liz, standing up big time.
She certainly is, and that was the question that had to be asked. Borrego has, while she's played internationally, she would never have played in a massive final like this at club level, and you've got to say she stood up. And what I love about what this Thunderbirds front line are doing, the Swifts back line are getting plenty of ball, creating plenty of turnovers, but the moment that they do that, the Thunderbirds front line is just getting straight into defensive mode and making it difficult, and the Swifts back line have struggled to get it out of their third on so many occasions.
Scoreline is just quite extraordinary in this match. It's a 20-goal margin to the Thunderbirds. The first 3 goals of the game were to the New South Wales Swifts. They got out of the box here, thought, oh, the Thunderbirds look as though they're off their game, and since then the score chart has just been all the Thunderbirds. They've led and dominated the game from that moment on.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a tale of woe this afternoon. Interesting, though, you sort of get the feeling that the Swifts haven't stopped trying. They're not a team that is lacking motivation or lacking trying. They're absolutely in everything, occasionally getting a little in there. Ash Brazel trying to help the umpire make that decision. But you just get the feeling that the harder they try, the worse they're going.
Ali Broadbent sitting right alongside the Swifts bench. Ali, what's the feeling like over there?
Oh, look, the feeling, I suppose, is disbelief at the moment. I don't really think they believe that they're in this position after playing so well all year. The thing I've noticed about the Swifts attack, and Julie mentioned before the lack of drive from her team, is when they're bringing the ball down the court, in recent weeks they've had 2 options for every single ball. At the moment they're struggling to get one clear option, and the Thunderbirds are doing a great job at that and holding up the ball.
Thanks, Ali. Here's Brazel, who's come on, and as you pointed out, Liz, it hasn't been through lack of intensity or effort. Just been really outplayed in this game.
Yeah, we talked last week when the Firebirds last Sunday lost to the Fever. We were quite critical. It just got the feeling that there wasn't that intensity there. This is a much bigger margin of a loss for the Swifts. Certainly the endeavour's been there. It's just that the skill has let them down. And that's not to take anything away from the Thunderbirds. I think that has come on the back of really impressive Adelaide performance.
Just this crowd starting to come alive again after being quietened down by the Thunderbirds. Giving out the great cheers as we hear there, and a few Bronx cheers for the umpires, I think, when a few calls are going the Swifts way.
Big play from McCloma. And we have seen before big margins reduced quickly in the ANZ Championship. And can they mount some sort of a challenge here?
They're going to do that. This woman here, Prattley, is the key to it. She's the most senior player down in that circle. She's got Amy Wild doing her absolute best for her, but she's got to nail those goals.
Oh, big play there, massive collision, Bully and Brazel, and you can't fault the endeavour of the New South Wales Swifts. You certainly can't the Thunderbirds. That's massive commitment, Sherelle. They're getting smashed, but it's not through lack of trying.
Absolutely not. That is commitment. Here it is again. Massive Becky Bully hitting the ground hard, but she's up again and hopefully be right.
Oh, well, unbelievably, Bully bounced back up. Look, it's a massive ask for the Swifts. They've got a young team. They're trying hard. Thunderbirds, though, look to have this game well and truly wrapped up, but there's still 15 minutes of impressive netball to come. Thunderbirds lead 45-27.
Concentration, I think, just for a little minute there. So it's a good time to have a break. Take a deep breath. Let's get out there, and we just remember, don't look up. All right, we've got a job to do, but we must do it for 15 minutes. We've got to do our job. All right, fast legs and good control. So it's about keeping doing the things that are the basics.
Woodland's there expressing her support for her side. She wants them to continue on. We'll take a look at the match stats, Sherelle. It's three-quarter time.
Yeah, the intercepts there we've got highlighted. The Swifts just bring that up a little bit, and that, as we've spoken about, is just their endeavour, getting the ball. They're in everything, trying to turn this around when they can. The contact penalties, we did mention. The Thunderbirds are up on that, but, you know, and that's the style of play they're putting out there. They're putting the pressure on as well as they can, and it's really working for them.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's why they're right up there with the intercepts, but they're also well and truly up there in the deflections, which isn't a stat that you see there, but the deflections are something that every player down court has had a stat, and this girl here, I think, has had an absolutely magnificent afternoon. We spoke before, she's quite tall for a wing defence player, and she's been left on today. Often they make that change and bring on Georgia Beaton at three-quarter time, but no surprise that Shani Layton Sherelle stays there. She's had a great afternoon.
Yeah, she's had a great season as well, and as we see a turnover straight away, and Courtney Tyree on her in her first finals match in this ANZ Championship was taken off Shani Layton because she was really shut out of the game.
She certainly was. She just didn't have the strength to hustle and bustle through, so it's an area that the Swifts we need to have a look at.
Ash Brazel, one of the other changes, Sherelle needs to come on, and she'd only played 2 quarters this season prior to this. We've got Amy Wild now in the shooting position. Kath Cox off, who's only played in 2 games as well. So a lineup that you just wouldn't have expected to see out there in this final quarter for the Swifts.
Absolutely no. A lot of new faces out there, and potentially that's going to be important for them over the next couple of weeks to be able to explore that depth that they've got.
Ellie Broadbent had a chance to listen to both coaches at three-quarter time. Ellie?
Yeah, look, it's been interesting sitting on the sideline over here. It's obviously Jay Thompson's very happy with her side. She's really pleased with how she stuck to the game plan. The thing that I'm liking about the Thunderbirds at the moment is they're really hungry for the ball and they're wanting that one-on-one defence, and it's really, you know, whether you're an attack or defender, you're defending with all your heart. With the Swifts at the moment, the bench is looking a bit shell-shocked, but having said that, they haven't given up hope and they're really looking to finish this off today.
Thanks, Ellie. They came up with a play, and then Rebecca Bully, just under a bit of duress, gave it up again.
That really has been the story of the afternoon for the Swifts. They've won back plenty of ball. Kim Smith getting a couple of really important wins, but it's just what they do with it, with the ball in hand, and just not seeing the confidence that has been the hallmark of the Swifts all season. It's almost like the Thunderbirds have stolen it and put it into their attack line. They look good.
Nice long shot there from Pratley, shooting at 75%. That was her 18th goal. And always going to be the issue, wasn't it, if you win every game almost unchallenged throughout the year, and it came to a big final and the pressure came on. How are they going to respond? And as we've commented a fair bit in the third quarter, their effort's been what you would want to expect, Sherelle, but they just haven't been able to come up with the big plays.
No, not so far. We're just sensing a little bit that the Thunderbirds are just rushing things a little bit. They're not playing how they have in these first 3 quarters, so we'll see if that continues or if they'll pull it back again.
It's interesting, Luke, before the game, just had a chance to chat with Julie Fitzgerald, and we talked about whether you won or lost during the year, and she was pretty adamant that actually no time was a good time for a loss. I guess the thing with the Swifts, whilst they wouldn't have wanted a loss, I'm pretty sure if you had have asked them or asked Julie Fitzgerald midway through the year, they would have wanted to be challenged. They needed a game like this much earlier just to see, you know, where they need to work on. Some fairly glaring flaws have been exposed for them today by the Thunderbirds.
Really beautiful move there by Amy White along the baseline. It's a different shooting lineup that we're seeing here with Pratley and Wild. 2 moving shooters, you don't often see it, and just an interesting one for the Thunderbirds lineup to look at a bit and see how they handle it.
It's been a good afternoon for Catherine Cox. She's still involved in the sideline. She had a big head collision that left a pretty nasty mark on the side of her nose, and we think she's got a leg injury and won't take any further part in this game. So some real concerns for her. Obviously, by finishing on top of the ladder, you get 2 chances. So if they do go down as we expect today, they'll host a final next week. They'd be keen for Catherine Cox to be out there, obviously.
They certainly would be.
Here's Borrego. Crowd not happy, and Borrego has just only her 5th miss for the afternoon. She shot at 85%, which has been her average for the year. The #1 scorer in the competition, big final, and she has really stepped up to the plate again today.
Wing defence. Wing defence, you're out of play.
So Pratley
On the
forced
ball, goal defence.
to work hard outside the circle.
Possession.
Oh, Mentor so close then. She's got a finger to it. Good strong rebound there from Amy Wild. She positioned herself well, just guarded the space around the post, and that's why she was able to get her hands to the ball first.
And now some cleaner movement from the centre pass, and we haven't seen that since about the first minute of this game. Clean movement, Sherelle opening the space in the baseline.
Yeah, and the Swiss are just pulling a couple of goals back here. So now it's the Thunderbirds' turn to really focus on what they've been doing well for these first 3 quarters, as I mentioned.
We're back to 15 goals. It was 4 goals at quarter time, 13 at half time, and blew out to 18 goals in the 3rd quarter. So some inroads being made just slightly here in the final term, but again Borrego, so many times she gets the ball in the easiest of scoring positions and she doesn't let you down.
Obstruction.
Jane Woodlands-Thompson's good enough to join us again. Jane, I know you're never comfortable in a final or any game, but it has been an extraordinary display from your side so far today.
Yeah, it has. I'm really proud of the girls, and we haven't quite finished it yet, but gee, they've been very gallant.
They certainly have, Jane. You must be pleased just with the endeavour of your team defensively all the way down the court. When we look at their stats, every player on court just about has had a deflection.
Yeah, and that's what we've been working on. We know Swifts are such a classy lineup that there just cannot be a passenger in defence, or they just burn you, and we've managed to stick to that before, so very pleasing.
And you spoke to the girls at 3/4 time just about keeping their focus on the process rather than looking up and looking at the scoreboard. Obviously, that's something that's really important.
Yeah, we really want to win this quarter. So the worst thing we could do is just take our eye off the prize and, you know, have a scrappy last quarter going into our next game. So we really want to do well in the last quarter.
Jane, it was a pretty brave move from you to leave Kate Beveridge off the court. You've been rewarded. Erin Bell's shot 13 from 17 at 76%, so you must be really happy with that call.
Yeah, I'm so proud of her. She's done a great job for us today. And, yeah, unlucky for Bev. The last 2 times we've played the Swifts, it hasn't been a good matchup for us. And she's the unlucky one today, but who knows? You know, we'll see what happens next week.
You played an away grand final last year. How big is it to host your own grand final, provided you get through in this final term?
Oh, huge. We're really hoping we will get through, and we'll be playing at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre, and that's just massive for us. Huge advantage for us.
Thanks, Jane. Well done today. Sides leading by 18 goals, and they have really just stunned us all, particularly the New South Wales fans here today who haven't seen their side lose, and it's all come apart today.
Contact.
Certainly has, and I guess the only positive out of this for the Swifts is that you tend to lose, or you tend to learn a lot more from a loss than you do from a win, and they'll go back and look at this and they'll have the second chance next week. They've earned that through an impressive home and away season this year, and they'll, you know, there's lots of areas for them to improve on, and they've all had plenty of good endeavour. They've fought hard defensively to get the ball back. There's just little things that they need to work on to get it right.
Slip movement there. Erin Bell's pass looking for Borrego, and just a misunderstanding on that occasion, but they'll get another opportunity.
Sums up the Swifts game a little bit with the great position of both defenders there. Again, Thunderbirds picking up that loose ball. Great position of the defenders, and Becky Bully tipping it over the baseline.
Sure, you commented early in the game about Emily Beaton, who played the last 2 weeks, but had about a 6-week period where she didn't get a run at all on the court as the crowd get involved again. She has really been a magnificent player today.
She's been fantastic. I think the understanding that she's got with the shooters has been great, and she's just been providing so many options for them. She's working extremely hard, as we see there. Tried to flick it off the fingers, didn't quite work out, but she's been providing them lots of options.
It's actually difficult to look down the Thunderbirds lineup and try and see someone who hasn't performed out of their skin today. They almost like they were so well drilled when they came in. They knew what they had to do to beat this Swifts lineup, and we've said all week that if they play out of their skin, they'll win, and they've done that. You can't look down and find a weakness in their team.
Can you look down and find a winner for the New South Wales Swifts? Who's won their position on the court?
Difficult to figure out. I don't know that there is a Swifts player who has won their position. I'd probably look at their defensive line and say Bully and Smith and McCloma have fought really hard and got plenty of ball back. They've all had gains. all the way down the court. You know, McCloma's had 4 positive gains, Rebecca Bully's had 4 positive gains, so those two have performed well, but difficult to find a Swifts player who's won her spot.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination. We just spoke about Emily Beaton playing against Kim Smith, who, as you've mentioned before, has had such a great season. She's a really bustling defender. She gets her arms, touches to everything, but I really think that Emily Beaton she's had a really strong game. Just looking there at the centre pass received, she's been available, as I've said, and only 3 bad passes for the game so far. So fairly impressive coming on off a season that she hasn't really spent a lot of time on court.
And the other impressive thing going on the back of that is that, you know, you sort of wonder if a young player like that who missed a massive chunk of game time through the middle of the year, can she come on and run the game out? Has a game fitness, and it's good.
Yeah, I think she's answered that one.
Kim Green has started in the centre. Fair to say she's had an afternoon today where things haven't gone her way. Still working hard. Alison Broadbent.
Yeah, look, Luke, they've made wholesale changes at that break, and I think it's in true credit to the Thunderbirds. They've given all their bench players a run this afternoon, and basically Schumann's come on as centre, Beveridge come on to goal shooter, and Keane, goal attack for Thunderbirds, has come on at goal attack as well, and Georgia Beaton has come on a wing defence. So everyone's getting a run this afternoon.
Yeah, interesting call. Thanks, Ali. Sherelle, what do you think about that? You're in the position last year where you won the big final, had the week off and went straight through to the grand final. Is this a good idea to give everyone a bit of a run and protect maybe your key player?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the scoreline is out to a situation where they're not going to give this game up now, so gives you an opportunity for those players to come out and just get a bit of a taste for the speed. Just looking here, Beth Schumann, as we said, has replaced Natalie Von Berto. This is her first quarter in the ANZ Championship, so big game to come into for her.
I actually think it's Cherie Wingard that's on at centre, so Beth Schumann still waiting for a little turn.
Sorry, Beth, I talked you up there and I had the wrong person. Sorry,
yeah, she'll be wrapped with you, Sherelle. Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Sorry, Shirazzle. I think it's actually a really good move from Jane Woodlands-Thompson. Just the team that had started, they were actually cruising a little bit, and you could just see that they knew that they had the game won. You bring on players who don't normally get a run, and they're into it. They want to prove that they deserve to be out there. So this is a smart move from the coach. You know, they might just reward her with a quarter win.
Absolutely, and as Jane mentioned when we spoke to her, that's exactly what they're after. They want to finish this game really strongly.
Well, what's interesting for me, Sherelle, is that the player who didn't start this game, Kate Beveridge, has played in every game. How's she feeling, given that her side's gone so well? She's found herself in the interchange bench in a big final. Is that a hard one to swallow?
Oh, of course it's a hard one. I think every player who, you know, puts as much work in as all these girls do wants to be out there on court, but she would also be feeling extremely happy that the girls have performed so well and that now she'll be playing in a home grand final in Adelaide. So it's a bittersweet one, I'm sure, for her.
Here is Kate Beveridge.
More than anything else, Beveridge has now got 3.5 minutes. Not a long time, but to just remind her coach that, hey, I can do this. I can play against one of the best goalkeepers in the competition and do well. So you've got to take your opportunities when you get them.
Yeah, and great to see her then just turning, putting the shot up and straight through. So, you know, sometimes it's hard to come off the bench and just get yourself straight into the game, but she's certainly done that.
So Gerard's still going
Contact, advantage offside, centre.
as she was, and she's come up with a bit of a sore knee here.
You have to go off goal defence. You're off. It's a second injury. Yes.
Well,
quick.
Bonnie Gerard being told she's got to leave the court. The first injury time, of course, you can actually have time. The second time you call time for injury, you're gone. And I don't know why Bonnie is surprised at that, but she's had a fine game.
Yep. She has had a fine game. It was a little bit hard to see exactly what happened there, so we'll just have a bit of a look at what she's getting attention to.
Possession.
Well, lets this one fly into the mid-court. Some of the younger players now getting a run.
Yeah, and that's what you want from your young players. They'll chase everything down. Yeah, they've got the win, but now they want to prove that, hey, perhaps I can be out here. So, well done then from Wingard. Did everything right.
Here she is again, Cherie Wingard. Worked hard to pick that up. And now Keane combines with Beveridge. 2.5 minutes remaining in this game, and the margin was 18 at three-quarter time, as we see Monia Gerard just getting some work on her knee, Sherelle.
Yeah, just getting some treatment on that right knee there. So hopefully nothing too untoward there. She's just come off and needing a little bit of treatment.
Ali, you're closer to Monia than us. Any issue there?
I know she's not happy about being off. She wanted to finish the game. I think it actually looks like a few cramps in her leg. I'm not actually sure if she's done a big injury. I think it's just obviously a tiredness, or she'll kill me if she's not tired. But anyway,
she's got the ice pack. Thanks, Ali, in the knee. You can just see, just wrenched the knee a little bit. Got up a little lame, but still very keen to stay out there on the court, which suggests that she's confident there's nothing too serious.
Jasmine Keane is the other one down in this Thunderbirds front line, who just putting her mark out there, wanting to put her hand up too, I'm sure, for selection. Becky Bully, fantastic rejection there on someone with the height of Kate Beveridge.
Well, as we've seen today, New South Wales Swifts hadn't needed any of their bench players throughout the year. Suddenly in a big final, everything goes wrong and you need them all to stand up, so it's a good chance maybe for the Adelaide girls to get an opportunity to heal this.
Certainly is, and the Swifts have been able to use their bench. Of course, Julie Fitzgerald has played 13 players throughout the year. Vanessa Ware being another one of those players, as well as the 12 here. But you're right, Luke, they haven't had to play these players under pressure and say to these young players, all right, get on, we're in a tight situation, do the job. And it's a different thing to come on to the court when, you know, you've got the game won, when the 7 in front of you have done it all before you. It's a vastly different thing than to come on when you don't have the game won. So this will do, I guess, the world of good for these bench players.
Crowd not happy at all with that call. It goes the way of the Thunderbirds. And Wingard, she just pops it over the top. Little fumble there from Beveridge.
Nice little setup in the circle there. We call that the Ridgy Ditch, where the two players are side by side.
Oh, Kate Beveridge will get the chance just to put a little exclamation mark to this win for the Thunderbirds. And no, my maths isn't great, but I don't think they've won every quarter. I think they will walk away from this game today thinking that there's not a lot more they could have done, the Thunderbirds. They came out with, I guess, a menacing intent in the first quarter. And they built on that. Attacking, they were so impressive. Not a lot of mistakes. Looked like they were prepared to open up some space, but it was their defensive game, Sherelle, that set the foundations for this win. They really did it all the way down the court, from Borrego right through to Mental.
I think it did, and I think you mentioned during the telecast as well that it wasn't just their defensive end that was doing that. As soon as the ball turned over, the pressure was there straight away. They were right onto everything, and that's what you need. You need everyone firing, whether you're in attack or defence. You need everyone right on the job, and I think the Thunderbirds had that right throughout the court tonight.
Yeah, they certainly did, and it's just been an extraordinary performance, and they, more than anything else, deserve